Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. Before we begin, I want you to know something very simple. If you stay with this message, something in you will shift. Not because of magic, not because of hype, but because at some point of this message, you're going to hear something that leads differently. Maybe a sentence that meets you exactly where you are right now. So, firstly, welcome back everyone. My name is Gasper. I'm an artist and I share these helpful messages that can help us to stay in the right frequency so we attract towards us what's meant for us for our greatest possible evolution, but also to align with our desires so we can live lives that we love, right? Today, I want to share with you 10 different ways to raise your frequency. So many things we'll talk today about will shift you. Some are maybe familiar to you, but will be maybe explained in a way that will click. And others may be new or something that you are forgetting. We all live complex lives. We all have many responsibilities. We all are exposed to sometimes higher frequencies and sometimes lower frequencies. We all need to deal with all kinds of situations in life. Sometimes, certain people are on a very low level and we call them energy vampires and so on. And we can't just avoid all these things. So we need to learn to maintain our energy field strong and clear and pure. So we don't hold fear towards certain external energies. When we have a strong and pure energy field, what's lower or of lower energy nature can't disturb us, can't poison us, because our energy field is strong. And that's what I want to give you today. It starts with how we speak to ourselves. So the first way to raise your frequency, to strengthen your frequency, your energy, is speak to yourself with respect. Speak to yourself with respect. Your inner voice sets the tone for your entire day. If you talk to yourself with harshness, your energy drops instantly. Choose language that strengthens you, not language that tears you apart. And when I talk about the language you use towards yourself, I know that we all have many impulsive thoughts. We all have many of these thoughts that are unconscious, uncontrolled, and I'm not saying you should have perfect control over your mind. What I'm saying is, catch yourself at times when you feel deep negative emotions, because you will notice that there's an inner voice that is making you feel this way. And maybe that inner noise is an echo of the past. That's where you need to gain control over, not allowing that inner voice to dictate your feelings and to shape your identity. On a deeper and higher level, you're one with God. You're one with Source. God loves you. Life loves you. This is your nature. Your nature is to be one with life. In the awareness of that nature, you would never speak without respect towards you, because God respects you. Life respects you. So to have respect towards you means that you understand that you are not perfect, which means you have errors, you have flaws, you have blind spots, like we all have them. But when we go through our errors, when we go through certain dark phases and we want to keep our energy high, we need to speak to ourselves in a language that reflects openness to growth. Like when you do something that maybe hurts someone because you did it unconsciously. instead of saying to yourself, oh, I'm such a bad person, oh, I shouldn't do that, you say to yourself, I'm not happy with what I've done. So how the next time that this happens, I can bring more love into this experience. I can bring more understanding or compassion into this experience. And sometimes there may be moments when you need to protect yourself by setting boundaries, but you didn't, and then you feel weak, and then you feel again like there's this voice, oh, I'm such a bad person, I'm such a weak person, I'm such a stupid person. We all have these voices. But instead of saying these things, you say to yourself, oh, that person was my teacher. So the next time I learn how to break the conversation, or how to use my voice to speak my truth. You see, Marcus Aurelius reminded us the soul becomes dyed with the colors of its thoughts. And therefore, we need to firstly become aware, are there thoughts that are unexpressed at times when they should be expressed? Because, many times your soul speaks to you in subtle thoughts that would save many situations and raise your energy if you would give voice to them. And then many times there are thoughts in our minds that are echoes of society, and those are the thoughts we should let go of. And a way to let go of negative thoughts is to have a strong anchor. To have a strong anchor in something peaceful, in something truthful. That's why every single day I use meditation to anchor myself into the truth. And with that I mean that I sit down, I relax my body, and I focus on my center. I've created many guided meditations that can help you with that. I focus on my center and I anchor myself into that. My center is peaceful, calm, creative, and grounded. I feel grounded in the earth and I feel connected with the cosmos. This is the practice that I'm using, so we can draw deep roots into the core of the earth, and at the same time you can connect the line of light from the center of the cosmos into the center of your heart. And may this be your anchor, because when you are anchored in this, then your negative thoughts will not disturb you anymore, because you will know you are not these thoughts. This is a powerful practice that will help you to raise your frequency. And also function in this world by not judging so much, because judgment comes out of identifying with these thoughts. Blaming others or circumstances comes from identifying with the thoughts, and these thoughts make us think like circumstances should be different than they are. We hold expectations for how things should be. When we are anchored in truth, we know everything is as it needs to be for us to get to where we want to be. Everything is as it needs to be, and this is the greatest truth you can anchor yourself into. The second way to raise your frequency is to stop explaining yourself to people who don't value you. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't value you. Not everyone deserves access to your reasons or emotions. Over-explaining drains your energy and rarely changes anything. Sometimes silence is the clearest boundary you can set. So once again, no one expects from you to be perfect in this. Like, if you can recognize within you a pattern of need for over-explaining because you may feel socially anxious sometimes. You may say too much. You may try to explain everything, even if most of these things maybe nobody even asked you for. Just recognize that it's part of your evolution to notice a pattern that can be changed, but at the same time notice what's the cause of it. Is it anxiety? Many times we do these things because we are ungrounded. There's less energy in the lower parts of our body and there's too much energy in the upper parts of our body. It usually happens to empathic people. And only once you recognize this, then you start balancing the energy within your body. This will raise your frequency because nature strives towards balance. And when our bodies are not in balance, like when there's too much energy in our thinking centers, in our upper body, then we think too much, we say too much, we expect too much, we protect too much, because we're not grounded and centered. Great Master said, "Those who know do not speak." It means that when you're fully grounded and centered, you don't just say anything, you say what needs to be said. Let's say this is our ideal, but as we're walking through this spiritual evolution and ascending in our qualities and who we can be, then many times we just need to look at ourselves as projects. Because if we want to develop our spiritual gifts, we firstly need to master our mind and emotions. And to master our mind, we need to develop a greater connection with our bodies. And to develop greater connection with our bodies, we need to do things that balance the energy of our body. So, what will balance the energy within our body, within our biology? First thing is movement, because our bodies are designed to move, to use muscles, to bring more energy, blood flow and oxygen into our muscles, especially the lower parts of our bodies, to do something that strengthens our legs, for example, like squats and running and walking, and certain strength exercises. That's why yoga and Tai Chi, for example, has a lot of this stability movements, because it brings a lot of energy into the lower parts of our bodies, and that's why after these practices we feel so grounded and so balanced. Once our bodies are balanced, you will see your mind will work very, very well, and now you don't have a need to over-explain. Now when you're grounded, there's a greater focus in the mind, there's more awareness, there's more contentment, and now you can say what you mean, because you don't feel so anxious anymore, because now in the lower parts where before you felt anxiety, now you feel presence, now you feel relaxation and strength. Strength is an important ingredient in our lives, because if we are not strong, we are weak. And if we are weak, it means weak parts require strengthening, because otherwise they can't be used for what they've been made. That's why it's so important that we look at our lives very holistically. It's just something I've learned in my life, to also strengthen my body. That's how my intuition has strengthened. That's how my ability to see more subtle planes of existence more clearly. That's how I can read energy more precisely, because I've learned to strengthen my body as well. Not that everyone needs precisely the same practices, but we need to recognize what fits us. It doesn't say what feels pleasant to us. It says what truly works for us, which means we need to explore different practices. And for those of you who are more in the mind and less in the body, use certain physical practices that are more complex, that you need to think a bit more of how to do it, like dancing or maybe martial arts or something like that, something that truly brings you into the body, and play with it. You will see Even Tai Chi is a good practice. Or yoga, something complex that will challenge your body and will challenge your abilities, capabilities. That will ground you and that will strengthen your frequency so much that you will not be affected by negative energies anymore. You will see it works like magic. The third way to raise your frequency is to pay attention to how people make you feel. Your body always tells the truth. Notice who leaves you lighter and who leaves you tense, tired, or confused. Don't ignore that information, my friend. It's always guidance. There's an ancient proverb that says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. So don't believe what they say, believe what they show through their behavior, through their action. Now, I'm not saying this to lose faith in humanity or to lose faith in certain individuals, because people can grow and can change or to stop trusting people. I think that if we stop trusting people, we'll always be alone, because we'll be afraid to get hurt. Now, the point is not that we get afraid to be hurt. The point is that we're okay if other people are however they are, and we don't need to get hurt by that. We need to understand that everyone is trying their best, even though sometimes they're not trying. They're still doing what they know, and that gives us compassion towards them, understanding that everyone is on their journey. But your body will always tell you the truth. So sometimes we don't have capacity to be present with certain individuals. And at those times, move away. You can move away. You can take time for yourself and return when you will feel ready. But just make sure that isolation doesn't become protection from the world. Because you are here with a purpose, and because your soul has a unique frequency that is adding to a contrast in this world, therefore it's very beautiful when you expose yourself to new experiences and new connections and new relationships, and you don't even know how many beautiful connections can happen because of that. So notice who leaves you lighter and who leaves you more tense, tired, or confused. Don't ignore that information, my friend, because it's always guidance. But also have faith in humanity, have faith in people, because you may be amazed that sometimes people truly can change. Like, I've healed so much of my family relationships, and I'm always amazed how much progress they are making, because maybe I am making progress. Not that they are perfect, not that they are where I would like them to be, but I don't judge them, because everyone evolves in their own pace. So therefore, make sure that your focus is not on judging others, that your focus is in being of service to others. And then learn to accept, even though this is a very challenging part many times, learn to accept that they do what they do. They are who they are, but they can change. Have hope. The fourth reminder to raise your frequency is to stop trying to fix everyone. Stop trying to fix everyone. Helping is good, but losing yourself in someone else's chaos is not helpful. It's destructive. Every time you take responsibility for someone who won't help themselves, you drain your own power. You know, ancient masters reminded us so well. There's a proverb, do not give your strength to others. I would say, show your strength in a compassionate and kind way as an example. And when they ask you how you've done it, then you can help. But when you try to help someone who is not willing to help themselves, then you're just draining your own power. And it is making you feel exhausted. Sure, once again, we need to learn that through our own experience, because if we just hear that and then we protect ourselves from trying to help others, then we'll never know what kind of help is actually helpful, right? So it's good if we know these things, but we still try, so we have a personal experience. What does it mean, right? Helping is good. I'm not saying stop helping. I'm not saying that. I would always say rather try to fix them and learn from that than stop fixing them at all or stop trying to help them at all. But just be aware that sometimes when you try to help and they're not willing to help themselves, you will not experience the wanting result, and that's okay. And that's okay. Make sure you don't give up on yourself because of that. Just know it's a sign that you have a beautiful heart, and don't let this kind of disappointments close your heart down, because your heart is beautiful and it's made also to be shared with others. But always focus on living your message, to live what you know, to always embody what you know, because this is the greatest help you can offer to others, to be an example of what you know. The fifth way to raise your frequency is to keep your space clean and beautiful. Your environment affects your mind more than you realize. A clear, peaceful space supports a clear, peaceful inner world. Make your surroundings reflect the life you want. In Zen philosophy, they say, when the soul is ready, everything becomes a teacher. So you see, your environment is your greatest teacher. Sometimes people come to me for mentorship, and they want to develop their spiritual side or their intuition. But behind them I see a very chaotic environment, like everything is all over the place. And I say to them, look, your environment is a reflection of your inner environment. It's hard to notice the difference between what our intuition is saying and what our thoughts are saying if there's chaos. And when there's chaos within us, there will be chaos around us. So sometimes we can use the opposite approach and we start taking care of our outer space, and we notice our inner space has organized as well. And therefore, if we keep our outer space clean, our inner space will stay clean as well. And it doesn't mean to be extreme with all of that. It just means to be aware. To be aware when we stop forgetting taking care of something, because it also means within us there's dust, within us there's chaos. And as much as we meditate and sit in quietness, which is often cleansing of our inner chaos, we let thoughts to settle, like we've talked in the first part of this video. We can also clean our outer space, and we will notice how much everything within ourselves will organize. That is very powerful. So when the soul is ready, everything becomes a teacher. Your life starts teaching you more about who you are and what to work on. Everything in your life becomes your teacher. So we stop blaming circumstances. We stop fighting with circumstances. We stop saying, oh, when these things will end. so I can make my dream life, and we say what these things are teaching me. What I'm not seeing that these things, these circumstances, these people are teaching me. What I'm suppressing that I'm not expressing. What I'm avoiding that I should step into. Who I need to become. Those are powerful questions, so if you're making notes, write this down. The sixth way to raise your frequency is to speak with intention. Not everything needs a comment. Not every feeling needs to be shared. When you speak from clarity instead of reaction, your words carry weight and people feel them. Drop a heart if this resonates with you. Rumi reminded us, raise your words, not your voice. Powerful, right? Not everything needs a comment. Just remember that, because we all have reactive minds that tend to judge everything just because we want to be right, just because we want to have an opinion. But the truth is, no one cares about opinion, and it's poisoning your world, because thoughts attract more thoughts that are equal to the thoughts that you think. So opinions bring to you more thoughts that are equal to your opinions, and that's what creates your world. So not every feeling needs to be shared as well, because your feelings are often for you, because maybe you're going through something, because maybe you are still not clear in something. So there's a confusion, and confusion needs an ear to listen, an eye to see. So you need to sit with it. Yeah, of course, it's helpful if you talk with someone who can help you to resolve it, but just sharing it with everyone is no help. So speaking from clarity instead of reaction is one of the most beautiful gifts you can give to the world. Your words carry weight and people feel them. So I've talked a lot in my previous videos about segment intention. Now, once again, no one expects from you to be perfect, perfectly intentional in everything, to be present in everything. But set a challenge for you. Before you say something, ask yourself, is it true? Is it kind? Will it help? Is it necessary? Just a challenge to see how many times you say something you don't mean, just out of reaction. The seventh way to raise your frequency is act even when you're unsure. You don't find clarity by waiting. You create it through action. Even small steps break the cycle of confusion and move your energy forward. Buddha said, what you do shapes your future. Something that we can all learn in our lives, especially when we have these maybe darker days. Sometimes we have them, more negative emotions, more confusion in our minds. Many people feel that these days. Try sit down on the couch and do nothing. Does this resolve your confusion, or do you feel more confused? What kind of tendencies you have when you feel confused and you do nothing? Your body urges you to distract yourself from what you feel, right? And it's not helping, it's suppressing confusion. So there will be more confusion. What we suppress expands and it starts eating us alive. So we need to learn to express it. And often confusion can be expressed through action, and then suddenly it organizes. What's within us needs to be brought out. And we need to find a way. That's why in ancient times they developed practices. Like martial art is such a powerful practice for that. Because through certain movements, you express unsettled energy. Also weight workouts or, once again, yoga movement can help with that. But we need to recognize the intensity of confusion, the intensity of chaos within us, because if intensity is greater, then also activity needs to be greater. So we express the unbalanced energy and create balance within us. So therefore, you do not find clarity by waiting. You find clarity by doing something. Sometimes I don't feel inspired to do my work. I've decided a long time ago I will make daily videos. And sometimes I don't know what to talk about today. And what I do, I go and do a workout. I go into the gym. And it's very interesting that usually at those days, I have a conversation with someone in the gym that inspires me to make a video. And sometimes I don't have a vision for my next painting, so I go out for a walk or I go into the city. You know, I live out of the city. I live in a village where not much is happening. So I love to go into the city to meet strangers and things like that. And that inspires me to create a new painting. And then vision starts forming in my mind. And I've learned clarity doesn't come by waiting. It comes by taking action, no matter what kind of action, just doing something where there's some kind of momentum that happens. And then the stagnant energy starts to move and it brings clarity to the surface. So act even when you are unsure. You don't need to be sure all the time to take action. Sometimes you just start doing it, start building it, start working on it. Even, you know, with painting, I'm not always sure if it will work. Actually, most of the time I'm not sure, but I have deep belief that I will be guided, that it will work out. And sometimes sometimes it's not working, but I learn a lesson, I learn a new skill, and then I can use it the next time. The eighth way to raise your frequency is to release urgency. Release urgency. Rushing comes from fear, not alignment. When you slow down, you make better choices, and your energy rises naturally. Peace gives you access to answers urgency never will. Peace gives you access, my friend, to answers urgency never will. So there must be a balance, is something I've realized in my life. Like, if I have no urgency, I will procrastinate sometimes. Like, to make daily videos, for example. A sense of urgency may be, today I need to do it, because if I don't do it today, then tomorrow I will notice that I've skipped a video today. So 24 hours makes me some kind of urgency, but it's not a negative urgency. It's more like a knowing I want to serve today. I want to serve today. And when we have bigger goals and bigger visions, like for me, it's making art. Urgency is, look, I don't want to work on this painting for 1 year. Let's finish it in 1 month. There are paintings that I've been actually working on for more than 1 year, certain more complex ones. But if I truly have a sense of a bit of urgency, then I will keep up with the work. But having too much of it is very toxic. That's why I said release urgency, especially if you have this sense of fear, like I need to do that and that and that and that, then you feel a lot of stress. When you slow down, you start to make better choices that come out of peace and clarity, and your energy balances very naturally. And when energy is balanced, your frequency is higher. So it doesn't mean release everything you need to do. No, I mean, be more clear on what truly needs to be done. And then work on it, and there will be no urgency, there will be intention and clarity. Sure, there will be still a bit of it, it must be, but not too much. So release urgency to a healthy degree. The 9th way to raise your frequency is to stay kind, even when life is hard. Softness is not weakness, it's emotional intelligence. Keeping your heart open in harsh world is a form of strength most people never learn. Nothing is stronger than gentleness many times. And gentleness is not weakness, it's receptiveness, it's awareness, it's openness. The reason people look on gentleness as weakness is that when they're gentle, they're very kind and loving, and then other people don't know how to treat it, so they use them, misuse them, they betray them, they trick them, they scam them, because they don't understand that gentleness is like a diamond, so they rob you. But that's not the problem. The problem is that you develop a story that it was a very bad experience and you don't want to repeat it. When you understand that you're one with life, you're one with Source, you have infinite amount of love to give, of kindness to give, of awareness to be present, so no one can rob you, and you can be soft but strong at the same time. Then you don't look on softness as weakness. You use softness to access more subtle levels of others, so you can read the energy, so you can be present and you can understand them. But you're not naive, because you're also strong. That's why I said at the beginning how to strengthen your frequency. We learn to be gentle, but we also learn to be strong. That's why training our physical body can help us to be strong, while staying intuitive and present and loving and kind help us to be gentle. That's emotional intelligence. When we learn to, master both aspects of us. When we understand that keeping our heart open in a harsh world is a form of strength most people never learn. And therefore, we need examples of that. Like, how can we be good at it if we don't have examples of that? That's why I set a goal for me. I said to myself, I will be an example of a mentor, of a teacher, of a leader I never had. So I will keep my heart open no matter what happens. And sometimes it's very challenging. But I need to return back into my open heart and understand the lesson, so I don't hold grudges towards what happened. I hold understanding, acceptance, and I move on and I open my heart again. Just some time ago, I've talked with a friend of mine who said he's just getting into an intimate relationship. And he said, I'm noticing that I have trust issues. And I asked him why. He said, because in the past I was in a relationship where a person truly almost like abused my kind-heartedness, my emotional sensitivity. And I said, okay, and what did you make out of it? And he said, I developed a belief that I will never open again, I will never trust again, because I don't want to feel the same way. And I said to him, so you're afraid to feel betrayed, you're afraid to feel hurt. And he said, yeah. And I asked him, Well, if you're afraid to feel betrayed, if you're afraid to feel hurt, how can you ever experience a deeper relationship than surface level? And he was like, oh yeah, that's deep. It's not the point that we shouldn't get betrayed anymore. It's not the point that we shouldn't get hurt anymore. The point is that we are not afraid of feeling these things. And the interesting thing is, when we're not afraid of being betrayed, when we're not afraid of getting hurt, we don't attract into our life so much of these people that hurt us, so much of these people that betray us. We actually stop attracting them because we're not afraid of that. You see, if you're afraid of something, you're pushing it away, and whatever you push away actually comes to you. This is the interesting thing in life. When you're not afraid of it anymore, you're not pushing it away. When you're not pushing it away, it will never bother you. So when something doesn't bother you anymore, the universe says, oh, he has learned a lesson, she has learned a lesson, so I don't need to teach him or her that thing anymore. And you start meeting more trustworthy relationships. This is a very deep lesson, and once again, we don't need to be perfect at it. I'm not saying don't feel grief, don't feel pain, don't feel hurt, don't feel betrayal. Of course we feel hurt. Of course we feel sad if it happens. But we need to understand this is our human nature. That's what makes us human. That's what's beautiful about being human. We feel for one another. We want others to succeed. We want relationships to succeed, and sometimes they don't, and we feel hurt. We want to trust others. We want to be there for others, and sometimes then they are not there for us, and sometimes they don't open to us, and it makes us feel hurt. But it also helps us to be more clear on what we want in the future. Instead of closing ourselves down, we become more clear on what we want in our future relationships. But then we decide that we will become this kind of a person. I will become this kind of an example in the world that is not mistreating others, that is not abusing others, that is not toxic towards others in any way. And through time, you start attracting this kind of people into your life. There's so many spiritual people, and I'm not judging anyone. I love you all. I'm just seeing that, and I want to be of support in this. So many spiritual people who went into isolation just because they've been hurt in the past. They said, I'm not open for a love life anymore just because in the past people hurt me. Because many times when we are more empathic, we don't want to hurt others by saying no, or by setting boundaries, or by speaking up, or by standing for something. And because we've never developed these muscles, we rather hide than build them. And then we hurt because it's impossible to live in a world without interpersonal relationships. We need relationships because other people show us what we don't see within us. If we want to develop ourselves and evolve and grow, we need other people to show to us what we don't see, and that's painful sometimes. But avoiding that is avoiding our growth, avoiding our spiritual evolution. That's why in Buddhist teachings, they say you reincarnate because a soul hasn't learned a lesson. The question is how many times you need to repeat something for you to say, I'm done with repeating it, now I will expose myself to what I'm avoiding because I want to become better at this, because I want to build a muscle that my past hasn't taught me how to build it. And if it's emotional honesty, if it's standing up for something, if it's protecting yourself, if it's learning to say no, then let's do it. And you don't need to be a master of something if you haven't even started. You need to be firstly a fool a little bit, right? You will be weak at the beginning. But doing that will give you confidence, because you will be proud of yourself. Every time you set a boundary, you will notice, you will be so proud of yourself. And sometimes we're afraid that it turns into arrogance, and maybe it will a little bit. But that's okay too. Then you learn to work with arrogance when there's too much of strength. When you've closed your heart too much and you open it up a little bit more. You see, to find the middle way, you need to explore both extremes of being closed and being too open. And being closed means that you close your heart, that you say, I will never get hurt again, I will never be betrayed again. And being open says, I'm opening to everyone. I'm accepting everything. I'm tolerating everything. And then life hurts you. It's a dance between, being open and closed, until you find the middle way where you can tolerate being hurt, but you still speak what needs to be said. And then you see if in a relationship there can be developed deeper connection and understanding. So it's not like one is empathic and another one is narcissistic, and empathic is always giving and narcissist is always taking. So there comes to the law of exchange, and both can grow then and heal. That's the purpose of relationships, my friends. That's what will raise your frequency. And the last one that I want to give you is do more of what you love. Do more of what you love. That will raise your frequency and also strengthen you. If I would look at your aura when you do something you love, it's very colorful and it has a golden ray around it. Very beautiful one. It has a beautiful shape. Joy raises your frequency faster than discipline alone. So make space for what lights you up. This doesn't mean do only what lights you up, because discipline matters so much in order to live a good life. But make space for what lights you up. In this time, so many people, when I ask them what lights you up, they're like, I don't know. Yeah, I feel you, my friend. If that's you, think about it. In yesterday's video, I've talked about going into the past and finding pieces of yourself you've forgotten. Maybe you love to dance, you love to sing, you love to paint, you love to talk with stories, share stories, talk with strangers, whatever it is. When you make space for what lights you up, it's not a luxury, it's fuel for your spirit. That's why Rumi said, let yourself be drawn by what you love. Joy raises your frequency faster than discipline alone, but we need discipline to take time for joy, right? I love to paint, but you know how many times I'm procrastinating with painting? Why? I don't know. But then I start and I experience so much fun. Then I ask myself, well, I have a background from sports, so discipline is not something strange to me. But what about people who don't have this kind of background? I think people hurt because they don't discipline themselves to do something they love to do. And it means taking time, no matter how busy your life is. Your kids will be so happy to see you being happy. Or your partner will be so happy to see you being happy. And God will be so happy for you to see you being happy. So just know, do more of what you love. I'm not saying do only what you love, because I don't do all the time only what I love. I also do what needs to be done, because otherwise I would never make these videos. I don't like editing so much. I don't like, social media so much. If I would not be doing what I'm doing, I would delete all my social media and I would just live my life in real life. I don't like social media that much. But I'm part of it because it allows me also to do what I love. And taking care of bills and taxes and these parts of life are not something I love, but it allows me to do what I love. So balance is the key, but when you do more of what you love, it raises your frequency, changes your perspective, fuels you up so you can see also the darker areas of your life with greater light. You enlighten the darkness, my friend, by being more in love with life. That's the secret. So, my friend, I hope you found great value today. Drop in the comments yes or love, or write something you're grateful for, just to see how many of you came to the end. It's a longer video, but when a message needs to come out, it needs to come out. And it's also training your attention span to hold your focus for a longer period of time. That's powerful because now you become empowered. So, my friend, I hope you found great value today, and big thanks to everyone for choosing to support my art in our store, AttractPassion.com. You will find my paintings there and guided meditations and so much more. And also join our Patreon community for more exclusive content, teaching material, meditations, and community. And join YouTube membership if you would love to support this channel. See you there as well, and till next time, one love.